My name's Matt, and I will be talking to Felipe Streb about cultural variations in work practices and effective communication and trust building. Hey, Felipe, buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
How is your German?
My German is basic, but
Basic.
growing.
So I'm asking this question because, like, we meet today. You worked in Spain. You're Spanish, and you worked in the automotive industry on the engineering side. I mean, software engineering side, and now you are engineering manager for a company in Germany. I mean, in the capital of automotive industry in Bavaria, and you work for Reef. And the first question that I wanted to ask you, how you end up in Germany?
Yeah, it was a journey, I have to say. The reality is that I want to work in this type of industry, so Germany is a obvious step. And also, to be honest, I want to learn German, and my son is learning German, so I think that's the two most important things that why we are here.
Yeah, nice. And is it different than working in Spain? I mean, regarding the business, because I know that you work for SEAT, right? For this
Yes.
digitalization center.
Yes.
And do you see like distinctive differences in approach to engineering, maybe, or leadership?
It's a little bit different how people in Spanish work and how people in Germany work. In Spanish, we work, let's say, more relaxed at some point, but we do more hours, to be quite honest. In Germany, it's more, okay, let's go to work, and we work. But at the end of the day, I think we are working a little bit less hours, or at least feels like it. So that's hours that we work. Now, in the leadership, it's quite similar, to be honest. IT is a global thing. In my experience in Argentina, Spain, Germany, and other countries that I know in the road, they all work in a similar way. Of course, they have some differences, but IT is quite the standard almost everywhere, I would say. So that's not a big of change. It does change how things are applied sometimes, what is expected, and how much structure companies want. Germany is known for structures and rules. They really love that. In Spain, it's not so like that. We have, of course, rules and structure, but I feel it's a little more flexible.
So I assume, because you said you work more hours in Spain, so because I spend a lot of time in Spain, and I noticed that the siesta during the work, it's not in the thing anymore, right?
No. That doesn't happen anymore. But we in Spain, we do have a second breakfast, which is fun and weird.
Yeah. So let's talk about more about the experience that you've got in Spain, because you work for Sadcoat, which I assume this is kind of like a digitalization center, and you try new things that could work in automotive. Am I correct?
Yes, in part. Sadcoat, it was born as a company that was doing software for the Volkswagen group. Of course, in SEAT, which is part of Volkswagen. Now, we do some digitalization for the company, for Volkswagen and SEAT and company tools, let's say. And they also do some software for the cars, and another project that I wasn't involved, but yes. So it's quite big what they're doing, everything related to cars at the end, or the companies that do cars. So it's quite interesting. What I do know is that last year, I think, they split. Now there are two different companies. So I don't want to say how they're working now, but that was what they were doing when I was there.
And could you tell a few words about the projects on which you work there? Were there like a more user-facing interfaces or some internal software for the cars?
Yeah, we were doing software for Volkswagen Group. Volkswagen Group is a really big company, and old. So they have some good things, which is the size and the power that they have, but that's also sometimes not great because for them it's difficult to move faster. They have a lot of processes. So that's where Sadcoat joined or appear. Sadcoat is much smaller and they can move much more faster. So while we do an application in 1 month, maybe for Volkswagen Group as a whole group, for them it was taking much more long. It was taking longer. So yeah, that's what we were.
Yeah, so you were like a SWAT team, so to
Yes,
say.
yes. What we are doing was a software for Volkswagen Group. We were basically taking some information from them, from different systems, new systems, old systems, really old, really new. They have a lot of size and colors there. So with this information, we were able to move much more faster. And also in Spain, we have a great team. There are a lot of great IT professionals. So I think this type of companies like Volkswagen need these smaller groups, smaller companies that can move much more faster, can iterate, can create, can innovate faster. Otherwise, you are just a big elephant that costs you to move, right?
Could you give me some examples, like what kind of projects they were, or maybe for what cars, or what was it?
I was working in internal project that was to check the different incidents that cars may have, how to track them, how to solve it, and make some analysis on the most usual problems, right? So this way they can track better how to fix the problems and if they exist, some manufacturer problems, some problems in the line of building the cars. That's the project I was working on, the first one, and then we moved to the second one, which was a little more like how can I say it? More data analysis, and how to store the information, how to proper process the information to have a really good metrics.
Any particular technologies that you use or you usually use for the projects that you worked on at the Sadcoat?
Sadcoat was working a lot with Java and all the Java environment, which is Kotlin, Spring Boot, Mockito, all this technology around it. Everyone who knows about Java will know what I'm talking about. All the technologies around is quite standard. But yes, I knew about other projects that they were working in vastly different technologies. You have everything there. From cars, which is more like, if I'm not wrong, C, low-level code, to data lakes and things like that in the company. So you can find anything there.
And you started as a software developer, and I'm wondering about your way to the managerial level. Like, you are now engineering manager, and I'm just wondering, was like, what helped you shape yourself as a newcomer engineering manager? Any books, mentors, lessons learned that you remember were particularly important for you?
Yes. First, let's start for the beginning, because yes, I was developer for almost 10 years, backend mainly. But I did find something in my years working as a developer that is sometimes, not forever, but sometimes, it's difficult for developers to see the big picture, to see the projects, to see what is the business case, right? Because you are just doing code, you have a ticket, and say, yeah, we need to read an endpoint, we need to change the database, and you just do it. But sometimes it's difficult to see, okay, what's the impact of this? That's the obvious and known problem that everyone knows, that business talks something, IT talks another thing. And it's sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's difficult to merge both words. So that's why I find out, and I mean, I'm Argentinian also, and I like to talk. So I was thinking, okay, I'm already 10 years in IT. I will like to move to business IT, let's call it. So I started developing this side of my career. I did my MBA. I worked a lot on the features, on the impact of what we were building. So that helped me a lot. Now, an MBA is nice. It's interesting, of course, but it's sometimes away from the day-to-day work. So I have a really good mentor, let's say, an engineering manager in Spain now. He was working at that point in Sadcoat. He gave me the opportunity to change from developer to team lead at that point. We call it team lead, but more or less the same. He teach me a lot of things. He gave me the opportunity to make the impact that I wanted with everything I knew. And we have weekly conversation about anything I wanted. He was always open to discuss, to have ideas. I think in the first 2 weeks of my new position in that company, I went to him and say, hey, this meeting that you did, it was awful. You should not do that again. And he was with the face like, I mean, what? He took it. We had a really good conversation. He said, thank you for this. I mean, it's always good, the feedback. So I learned a lot from him. And he also recommended a really good book, Crucial Conversations.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of this engineering management role is to have these crucial conversations. Conversations that are really important. Your day-to-day goes by, and then you have really important conversations that maybe you expected, maybe you didn't. So it's important to sometimes stop 5 seconds, think what's going on, think what is the conversation, what's the impact of this conversation, and how it's affecting different people around it, and try to think it and not go just by feeling. But sometimes feelings are good, but sometimes you just get angry because of unknown reasons, and there's no need for that. So I will recommend to everyone who wants to move this road, Crucial Conversations. It's a good
nice. I haven't heard about it, so I already noted it to check it out. And I have a feeling that the Spain has a really strong engineering culture. So like my experience was because I worked for BMW. I worked in automotive industry for quite a while. And like a lot of my colleagues were from Spain. And we even have like at the Brainhub at my company in Poland, we had one engineer from Spain working with us from Warsaw. And I see a lot of similarities and like a really good engineering background to solve the problems. And I'm just wondering for you as a native, because you work with many people, like many nationalities. And like from your perspective, is the engineering like really strong in Spain?
Yes. I was mainly working in Barcelona, but yes, I think Spanish people really like this approach of solving things. They just don't go around on saying, yeah, what's the best way to solve it, how we should ideally solve things. They just say, okay, this is a good solution, go solve it, work it, and they do it. So I think it's a really good approach. It's a fast approach. They have really good quality, but always know when to balance quality with value, right? So yes, I was pleasantly surprised with the engineering quality in Spain, mainly in Barcelona.
Mm. And last time we discussed kind of like unpopular topic that is not tackled very often. We are discussing, and I really like your opinion about what developers do versus like what they should do. And I think you have really interesting opinion about it. Maybe you could elaborate.
Yes, I always talk to my teams that developers are not just making code. We call it code monkeys. You are just not doing code. Your work is not doing code. Of course, it's an important part. That's clear. But it's not just like that. I would say that is maybe half of the work. It's not, you should not be 8 hours a day just doing code. Unless you have everything really clear, which is really weird. But a big part of being a good developer is to, what we talked before, is to understand the business, to understand the needs, to understand what everyone is saying, to understand the market even. Okay, what's the impact of what I'm building? What I'm building is actually valuable, or from the code's perspective, from the developer's perspective, maybe I can even give ideas on how these different features can be approached. This is from the business side. Also from the, let's go more technical and day-to-day work. Sometimes PM make a plan because that's their work, PM, POs. That's their work, sure. But the input from the IT department, from the developers, that maybe that roadmap cannot be done because technically it's not possible. So we have much more to say than just doing code. From my experience, really good developers are these people that jump into a conversation with managers, with CEOs, with anyone and say, hey, this is not possible. Or, hey, you are wrong. This can be done much more easier and faster and, of course, cheaper. Or they just bring new ideas that I know they have. But at least in my teams, I always, at the beginning, I always bring these ideas and push them to talk about them. And after a few months, you start seeing that the team starts behaving in a different way. They're just not waiting to see what happened. They just start pushing for things to be done. This is good. I mean, I really like it. I think this gives much more value to the company, to the project, and to the career development of developers. Also, sometimes brings topics that are not so great because you define a roadmap, and then developers say, hey, I'm not agreeing. And this talk between PMs and developers and engineering managers is a little difficult because they always want to make some things great, some great technology things, and we need to create value. So there's a learning in the way.
Thanks for that. And you work probably a lot with hardware, right? The automotive, it's like on one hand you have a software, but you have a lot of hardware that you need to tackle with this software. And I'm just wondering, in your case, for instance, like at the Reef, like what is your team structure? Who is your partner with crime, with who you work the most? Like, you know, like on the engineering side, I'm wondering, like, how do you structure the leadership, the teams on the engineering and product side?
Yes. In the leadership of IT development team, we have a really good open conversations. Tech leads, engineering managers, CTO, principal engineer, head of engineering also. We have really good conversations. It's an open conversation. This is important. If you cannot say things that you like or things that can be improved, you have a problem. You are part of the leadership. So that's a space where you should talk about things that are not working or some things that are not correct. That's one side. You need to be really good at there. But that's the problem with the engineering manager role. You are in the middle guy. You are not in the team, but you are not fully in the leadership. Let's say we are in the leadership, but there are other people there. You have the CTO, you have the people with higher ranks, basically. Let's say it. So yes, you need to be the bridge between them. You will get the punches from both sides. So you need a really good conversation with the leadership and with the team. I'm always really open with the team. Always say in our first one-to-one that you should be able to say anything to me. I'm like the psychologist, if you want. You should come to me, say whatever you want. Doesn't matter. If you don't like something, you like something, you whatever. Of course, my only line is respect. That's the only one that should not be crossed. After that, yes, you are the bridge between them. I think that my partner in crime, if you see like this, it's not in the dev team, it's the PMs. My partner in crime is the PMs, because you are a bridge between dev leadership, the team, and business. And business is speak another language, so you need to be really close to them. So I try to have a really good relation with them. So I think they are the key people here.
And you mentioned a really interesting topic about you want to be like a psychologist, or you want to have the engineers open to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like a personally myself this problem, and I heard it multiple times. Despite like I'm talking with my team and I'm saying like I'm transparent, that you can talk whatever you want to me. I mean, like you can share it when you have challenges or whatever. Like I'm here to help. But I still think it doesn't work, right? So like, despite of that, you say people like, hey, you can share with me if you have some challenges, but still the people, especially if they are introverts, they don't want to do it. So I'm just wondering, how do you encourage them to share like some difficult matters or feedback with you?
Yes, it will be great to have a silver bullet here. I already searched for it. It doesn't exist. Everyone is different. But yes, introvert people it's more difficult to connect. That's happening in IT, that's happening in your own life, it happens with the neighborhood, it happens with everyone, right? This is how it is. What I find out is that more in the company, when you show that you are actually interested in the career growth, that they are happy in the work, and so they can stay more, and you are as honest as you can, that's everything you need. You don't need more than this. It may take time, sure. Sometimes it takes a few weeks, sometimes it takes a few months until they open and they start to sharing what is actually important for them. But when they do it, when they share something that is important with them, more with introverts, I always try to solve that problem as soon as possible, give them the responses they need, or some response, or make that a priority for me. So they see that if they share something with me, that it was difficult sometimes for them to share, I will be on top of that. I will be trying to solve it. So sometimes, yes, it's not the solution that they wanted, but you show that it was important. You make it a priority, and that creates trust at the end.
And regarding those lessons learned, I'm always looking for something like the best, like the most influential lesson learned. And I'm just wanted to ask you, like, what was the most important lesson learned you have learned as a technology leader? What was it for you?
The most important thing I learned it at the beginning with this in Sadcoat, actually. If you see that you are part of the team, but you are not in the team. So if all the team wants something, and you know that that's not correct, that is not the way to go, you should share it with the team. Say, this is not the way to go because the reasons that you may be sharing. But you have a responsibility to say, no, this cannot be done. This is not the way to go. This will be a problem for the team. I'm sorry to the team. Everyone wants this. Sure, my job is to say no to them. And this is the reasons. And you should not say, okay, the team wants it. Let's go with democracy. Democracy is good, but sometimes you are part of the leadership and you need to make hard choices, even if they don't like it. So yeah, that's one of the big lessons learned.
Awesome. And the last question that I'm asking all of my guests, can you recommend any books or podcasts or resources that have been particularly helpful to you as a tech leader?
A part of this podcast,
A part of this podcast, of course.
you're welcome. And the one I said, crucial conversations, for me was really important. It's important when you're coming from that side to learn this other part, how to properly make these conversations. And then I try to keep updated with different news, different things that appear to me. I have a really good network in LinkedIn, so I always have different ideas coming up from there. Something really important is just not to go to what you believe. For example, I believe Agile is the best, so we will how Agile is the best. That doesn't have any sense. You already know that. So I always try to see the other side. Sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes you don't agree, which can happen, but sometimes it gives you a different perspective. More when you're working with people, you need to see different perspectives. And the most important one of all is to have a, let's say, mentor, someone to follow, sometimes to teach you, sometimes that someone that already walked the line, already make the mistakes, and can tell you, watch out this. These two things are the most important things. See other ideas, try to be open to new ideas, and have a mentor.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Felipe, for today's talk. I really appreciate your insights and lessons learned.
Thanks to you.
Follow Matt on LinkedIn and subscribe to the Better Tech Leadership newsletter.